driving home. We are on Highway 16, or called the Rumsey Cutoff. Darren's in front of us in his new vehicle, and Denny and I are just cruising. This is one of my favorite roads. I was recently listening to a Sasquatch Chronicles episode where he had a gentleman call in. The gentleman was a veteran, and he had experienced some difficulties, and he had hiked across the United States, camping his way. And one of the stories he told was about a night he spent out here at Rumsey under a bridge with a friend, a fellow traveler, and they had a tent, and they put their tent under a bridge, one of the bridges we're going to drive across. And sorry, I have a little frog in my throat. And I believe his story was, as they were getting ready to go to sleep, he heard a noise outside, and there were rocks were thrown at the water first, and then they got up and started making some noise, or he got up and started making some noise, and then I think in his story the rocks were actually thrown at their tent. They crawled in the tent and went back to sleep, and then woke up in the morning, and I'm not sure if they had seen any tracks or not. It's kind of funny because the last time Darren and I camped out here, we had a similar experience, and it was also at the Rumsey Cutoff. So we were probably about 4 miles from the gentleman and his story, which I thought was kind of coincidental. And Darren and I had pulled over to camp, and then we were going to Sacramento to look for a truck, actually. We've been on this mission for about 3 months to buy him a new truck. And we had pulled over at Rumsey Cutoff, which I'll pull down into as we get there, and set up the tent out the back of the car. We have a camping tent that goes onto my car. And we had made some pork chops, and there was a really neat fire pit. The fire pit there is actually in the base of a big oak tree down by the water, so the tree is not affected by it. There's actually rocks in there. And we had our fire, and we had heard some foxes going in, and one of those places that you feel like when you're camping, it's like, okay, we got our time here, but it's time for us to go to bed so the wildlife can do their thing, because there's really nobody out here. This casino is the only thing that draws people on this road, and we are between Sacramento and Clear Lake in Northern California. So once we get past this casino, as you can tell by the oncoming traffic, there's just not a lot of human activity. And as Darren and I were camped out here, we go to bed early. We made dinner around 7, called it a night by 9, crawled in the car to sleep, because that's how we do it. And then the tent comes off the back, and it's like our kitchen and everything else. We zipped the tent up, crawled in to go to bed, and Darren fell asleep, got up about 2 hours later, and had to use the restroom. So he opened his side door, so you could hear the car door open and then shut. And then he got out to pee. And as soon as he started urinating, this giant rock went splash in the water. We were camped right on the side of the bank. It was on the other side. He looked at me, started saying, "Gobber, gobber." We listened to a lot of Sasquatch Chronicles. We listened to a lot of Bigfoot Society. So he thought it was hilarious to make Bigfoot noises, Sasquatch noises. As he continued to pee, got back in the car, shut the door. He goes, "Did you hear that, babe?" I was like, "Yeah, that was weird." We snuggled back up. We went back to sleep. That was at around 11. At around 1 in the morning, Jared got up to use the restroom again. Opens the car door, click, goes the car door sound. You hear the noise. And we're literally out on this road at 2 in the morning. So right now it's 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning. There's no traffic. So can you imagine 2 o'clock on a, Thursday night? Anyways, so he gets back out again, and within the time that it takes for a guy to start peeing, we heard another gigantic splash. I would say by the size of the splash, the rock had to be the size of my head, or maybe Denny's head, but it was a big rock. This time Darren didn't make any noises. He just finished doing his business and then got back in. He goes, "Did you hear that, Angie?" And I said, "Yes." So we snuggled in pretty tight. This whole time Denny was up underneath, kind of down there where my bag is now, and he wouldn't come out. He was having no part of it. Normally he sleeps kind of at the back of the car. Can you see? Oh no, Denny's gonna make sure you don't see anything. Nice church. that was the second time that night that happened. So now we're curled in and we're like, okay, that was cool. We're putting it on video tomorrow. What a great spot. There's caves right above us. Like, this is epic. And then we snuggled back in at around 3:30 before it got light, because we're up at 5. Well, we're up at 4. We get out of, Rise by 5. A third splash happened. The third splash that happened, equal in size, was on our side of the river. Just after that, we heard what I'm assuming was a fox and their puppies. There was like a bunch of little foxes running around. And there are caves up there. It was really interesting. We went back and did the check. We checked with friends. There are no fish big enough at that time in this river, which you can't see the river now, but as you see the valley, there is a river. Those are the hills. Those go over towards Lake Pillsbury. We're about to get up there is Snowy Mountain Wilderness. So we're out in the middle of nowhere. After the third splash, we called it a night. We packed up and we left really fast the next morning. Not because we were afraid, but because it was time to go look for a truck. My friend Janine and I are going to go hike the caves, because I've never been to the caves, but I've seen them every time we've camped at the cutoff, and we call it the Rumsey Cutoff. It's some people put in to kayak there, I think, in the spring, because the river actually starts to flow. I think we're going to go across it right now, Little Creek. But I thought I'd share my story again, give you a little bit of what Highway 16 looks like, and I can do that because I'm following Darren, who is the other part of Rock and Rippy, a little bit redneck and a whole lot of hippie, which is where Rippy comes from, if you didn't know. If you made it to this point in this really long vlog, it's really beautiful. Please subscribe. Thank you. And have a great day. Bigfoot Stories, Part 6.